Alex laughs like Seth Rogen.
It's top right.
Well, I mean, I guess you could put that as a compliment.
I've been told that a lot, honestly. Donkey Kong laugh. Seth Rogen goes to Vegas. Is that a Seth Rogen laugh? I think the only question you need to answer is why you had Seth Rogen make a cameo at the end. You're playing Donkey Kong and you've got the Seth Rogen laugh, of which he voices Donkey Kong. The Nintendo 64 was my first video game console, and I grew up with a lot of its games. Beloved classics like Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and even Star Wars Pod Racing are games I spent a lot of time on. However, there are some games I just never got the chance to play because I was only just a year old when the 64 came out, and so I didn't have any income to spend on games back then. I still don't. One of those games being Donkey Kong 64. Anytime it's brought up with one of my friends, they say things like,
I think Donkey Kong 64 is no doubt in my top 10 favorite games of all time.
So Donkey Kong 64, like I was saying, one of my favorite games of all time.
It's probably my favorite 3D one.
But now that I've finally played it myself, I can confidently say that everyone else was wrong. Donkey Kong 64 sucks. The navigation sucks, the characters suck, the mini-games suck, the controls suck, the story sucks, the music sucks. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. No, I'm sorry. Okay, it's not awful. Donkey Kong 64 does have some charm to it. But it was one of those games that just got more frustrating the more I played it. So much so that by the end of the game, when I finished it, I wished I had spent my time doing anything else. It was probably a technical marvel at its time, it being a first 3D Donkey Kong platformer, and it mashed together half a dozen genres. There's open world exploration, with the main focus being a heavy collectathon. You also have multiple playable Kongs, who are all heavily armed with guns and grenades as if they're preparing for war. There are 5 Kongs you can play as in Donkey Kong 64, each one with a set of unique abilities. Each Kong has a personal weapon of some kind. I particularly like Chunky Kong's pineapple missile launcher. There are these pads laying around everywhere that can only be used by the specified Kong, and it will give that Kong an ability like Diddy Kong's jetpack, or just shooting Donkey Kong into orbit. As cool as this all sounds, managing all the Kongs is a pain. You need to cycle between them in order to progress through the worlds, but the way to do that is by jumping into these Kong barrels that can only be found in specific places, and they rarely feel like they're in convenient spots. There have been many times in a level where I would progress so far just to encounter a roadblock, so I would need to backtrack to the Kong barrel to get the Kong I need, and then have to go all the way back to remove that roadblock. And that's assuming I even have the Kong or know what Kong to use here. Sometimes it's just not clear. The main roadblock are these progression gates at the end of worlds that can only be opened after collecting a certain number of bananas. That on its own doesn't sound too bad, but the bananas can only be collected by specific Kongs, and if you don't have the right Kong, you just don't get the bananas. They are all color-coded so you know what Kong is supposed to collect them, but frequently backtracking to collect them all is just the worst kind of gameplay. There are also these golden bananas that function similarly to the Power Stars in Super Mario 64, where collecting them is your main goal and they open up new areas. But these are also tied to specific Kongs, and they also aren't color-coded, so if you find one with the wrong Kong, you just don't get it. Most golden bananas are collected after solving a puzzle or completing a minigame, so you will usually already be the right Kong, but I'd like to have options. You also get golden bananas by recovering stolen blueprints and giving them to the character Snide, which I'll talk more about later. Each Kong has 5 golden bananas to find in each world, for a total of 25 per world, and 201 in the game overall. Most of the minigame challenges you can do are actually a lot of fun, and are probably the best part of the whole game. There's your minecart ride, which is a standard for Donkey Kong games. You have some mazes and picture puzzles, the classic barrel cannons, and one where you have to protect turtles from getting eaten by snakes. Not every minigame is great though, as the Beaver Bother minigame is infamously and unnecessarily difficult. They're not going in the hole. Go in the hole! That wasn't working anyway. Something is wrong here with the physics of the beavers. This is harder than it should be. They're not going in. Get in the hole. The hole. Oh my gosh! Look at this. They're getting pushed away from the hole. I can see them. They're getting pushed away from it. Just 2 more. Come on. Come on. What the heck? This is a terrible minigame. Terrible minigame. I'm hitting the scare button. They're moving toward me. That's not how this is supposed to work. They're more afraid of the hole than they are of me. Get in the... I'm done with this minigame, man. I'm done with this. I'm done here. This minigame is not working. I'll come back to this later if I absolutely really need to, but this minigame is not working. There's also this one minigame that might be a reason for why Donkey Kong 64 hasn't come to the Nintendo Switch yet, as it relies on the Nintendo 64's frame rate to slow itself down as you try to shoot the golden banana, something its release on the Wii U didn't do. All of these bananas and golden bananas are spread across 7 worlds, which are just incredibly large. They're filled with enemies, obstacles, and challenges, but one thing they don't have is direction. I love the themes of these worlds. You have the classic jungle Japes, the mechanical Frantic factory, and the time-changing fungi forest. Exploring these worlds sounds like fun, but to me it was just incredibly frustrating. You're just thrown into these large worlds with little to no idea on what to do and where to go, and are just told, okay, have fun. Like, okay, I don't mind open world games much, they're not my favorite, but I like at least knowing where to go. Breath of the Wild gives me a radar to use to find certain locations or items. Metroid Prime displays your destination on the map. Zombie Chronicles X gives you a follow ball that leads you to your set objective. Mario Kart World. I like exploring, but I don't want to be forced to explore just to find my next objective. Just being thrown into an open world with no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing was just making this a very stressful time. There are banana pads that can teleport you around the areas, which is useful, but unless you remember where each numbered pad goes, you might end up just getting more confused. There is a hint system here in Donkey Kong 64, where hints are given by the ghostly Rinky Kong prior to entering these worlds. You can only read her hints if you have the color specified Kong unlocked, but they're also kind of a mixed bag. Most of them are generally helpful as they point you towards golden bananas, but a lot of them are just kind of vague. Don't throw a coin in the well, throw Chunky in instead! Wrinkly Kong will also just leave as soon as she's done talking. She doesn't wait for a button input at all, there's no wait after the prompt, so I hope you wrote down what she said. Actually, writing things down probably would have helped me. On top of all this, the controls are honestly not all that great. Comparing it to Mario and Super Mario 64, the Kongs slide around more, their attacks aren't all that precise, and flying with Diddy Kong's jetpack is just incredibly clumsy. The game also doesn't do a good job of explaining the controls to you, like, at all. Especially this jump, man. I can make it. Is there really just no way out of here if you get stuck? Oh my gosh, I've made this already. The Kong rolls aren't anti-gravity in this game. You can always I can backflip? Oh, you can just freaking... I didn't know you could backflip in this game. That was never told to me. Well, there's the way out of the hole, I guess. You just backflip out of the hole, because, you know, that's just what you do. I have more negative things to say about Donkey Kong 64's gameplay than I do positive ones, so I'll give it a 7 out of 20. This was a very difficult game to play, but that was mainly due to lack of directions and frequent backtracking. As for why we have to go through all this torture, well, we can blame King K. Rool for that. He shows up the DK aisle, ready to destroy with a brand new laser device, the Blast-O-Matic. Fortunately for the Kongs, the Kremlings are stupid, so the mechanical crocodile aisle runs into a rock, marooning the base of operations and destroying the Blast-O-Matic in the process. To make up for their incompetence, the Kremlings go and kidnap the Kongs along with all the golden bananas, specifically to keep Donkey Kong distracted while the Kremlings repair the device. And well, that certainly works. There are so many other collectibles in this game to distract us with. The colored bananas, the golden bananas, Snide's blueprints, banana coins, banana fairies, banana medals, the rareware coins, the Nintendo coin, boss keys, crystal coconuts, and even King K. Rool's own crowns. They just threw whatever they could around these worlds, and now we have to go and collect all of them. I am not joking. You really do need to collect a large number of items in this game to progress through it. Unless you're going for the 101% completion goal, you don't need to collect each individual item, but it certainly does feel like it just to get through the game normally. Nothing feels optional. For instance, at the very end of the game, I discovered you need both the rareware and Nintendo coins to open a door in Hideout Helm. These are rewards for playing the older games Jetpack and Donkey Kong respectively. At no point in the game is it ever told you that you absolutely need to collect these two coins, even if you would have access to their location for most of the game. To get the rareware coin, you need to collect 15 banana medals, each of which are obtained by collecting a total of 100 bananas, and those banana medals will unlock Jetpack, where you then need to reach a score of 5,000 to obtain the rareware coin, which is very difficult for someone who has never played that game before. For the Nintendo coin, you need to unlock the Donkey Kong arcade game by first expanding Donkey Kong's moveset to be able to pull levers, and then you need to actually beat the arcade game. Twice. The other collectible of major importance are Snide's blueprints. After defeating a Kasplat enemy with a specific Kong, you get that Kong's blueprint that can recover for that world. By taking that blueprint to Snide, he'll give you a golden banana in return. At first, this just seems like another method of obtaining golden bananas, but there's a significance to them that isn't made apparent until the end of the game. As soon as you step into Hideout Helm, the Blast-O-Matic begins charging, and you only have 10 minutes to get through a gauntlet of challenges to disable it. With the blueprints you collect, Snide is able to delay this timer by a minute per blueprint, giving you up to 50 minutes to work with if all blueprints are collected. With the amount of blueprints I found, I had 34 minutes to disarm the Blast-O-Matic and did so in half that time, with 17 minutes remaining. I am not skilled enough to complete these challenges in under 10 minutes, mainly because I suck at shooting things. I know it's worse than a shooting game. A shooting game while flying. Because I can't do either of those. How did I miss that? I was right on top of it. The banana fairies, from what I can tell, are the only optional items in this game. I was able to get through most of it without talking to the banana fairy princess at all, and I probably could have just ignored her entirely. Saving one of the banana fairies is helpful though, as doing so increases the amount of ammunition and crystal coconuts you can carry, and finding all of them unlocks the secret 201st golden banana. Crystal coconuts, by the way, are like a fuel source for special moves like Diddy Kong's jetpack or Donkey Kong's invincibility, which is something completely different than the magical plot device Crystal Coconut from the Donkey Kong Country TV show I watched repeatedly growing up. You also have alternate endings depending on how well you make it through the game. Choosing to end the game early or running out of time in Hideout Helm plays a cutscene where King K. Rool fires the Blast-O-Matic at DK Isle. This seems to be a common rare theme back in the day, as a similar bad end cutscene plays when you quit Banjo-Kazooie early. We don't actually get to see the laser hit the island though, as the screen fades out before the impact. But luckily, we get the same cutscene in HD as part of King K. Rool's Final Smash and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that does show the island getting destroyed. If you beat the game with less than 101% completion, you just get the simple credits. But 101% completion gets you a swimming Donkey Kong. I'm glad I didn't bother. There is so much to do in Donkey Kong 64, and I like the world themes, but it's mixed with a lack of navigation and unclear objectives. This game is probably better suited to completionists, but it doesn't really make things easy for first-time players or casual gamers. If I had this game growing up, I probably would have stopped it pretty early on and wouldn't come back to it until I had a guide for it. So I'm giving the story progression a 5 out of 20. I mentioned earlier that there are 5 playable Kongs: Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, Chunky Kong, and Lanky Kong. Each of them have their own skills that need to be utilized to progress through the game. They each have projectile weapons to shoot with, special abilities from Kong pads, musical instruments to play, and additional moveset actions that can normally be activated just about anywhere. All of these abilities can only be granted if you gather enough banana coins and taking them to Cranky Kong, Funky Kong, or Candy Kong. So you better keep up those expansions or else you'll just get stuck. I don't know how to activate this thing. How do I play Donkey Kong? I'm asking Kyle for help.
How do you activate levers in Donkey Kong 64? I think you need a power-up for that. How far are you in the game? You're trying to play Donkey Kong and oh yeah. You do need the power-up.
Okay, I need a power-up, I guess. Okay. Donkey Kong is the only Kong you start with, but the other 4 needing to be unlocked. Diddy Kong is simple enough, you just need to shoot 3 switches. For Lanky Kong, you need to wake up a llama for it to spit into lava, and then you need to swim in that. For Chunky Kong, you just need to hit a switch. Tiny Kong, though, gave me the hardest time. I was under the impression that only one Kong could be found in the world, and since I already found Lanky Kong in Angry Aztec, I figured there wasn't anyone else to find there. I made it through Angry Aztec, Frantic Factory, Gloomy Galleon, Fungi Forest, and just most of Crystal Caves on constant alert for Tiny Kong before chat told me I was stupid. Turns out you can find both Lanky Kong and Tiny Kong in Angry Aztec, and Diddy Kong just needed to shoot this switch that I missed on the back of one of the temples, to then needing to hit Kong switches to open Tiny's cell. But now this means I need to go back through all of the worlds I already completed just to grab everything Tiny Kong related that I missed, and also fight one of the bosses I couldn't fight before. The bosses in this game are all pretty unique. In every world you have to feed bananas into Scoff, so Troff can reach the door key and open the boss door. The bosses can only be fought by the Kong whose image is on the door. There's an armadillo with rocket launcher, some kind of large dragonfly thing, an evil jack-in-the-box, and a large puffer fish you have to fight in a boat that just has the slipperiest controls imaginable. All of these were pretty enjoyable to fight, and I had no real issues with either of them. The last two bosses are variants of King K. Rool, and they did give me a lot of issues. There's King Cutout, which is a cardboard version of K. Rool that shoots laser beams at you. To fight it, you have to find the right barrel cannon to launch your Kong at the randomly placed, barely visible cutout. But the cutout disappears quickly, so if you miss your chance, your Kong just goes flying. The final boss is a boxing match with King K. Rool that really puts the Kongs to the test. Donkey Kong has to use barrel cannons to launch himself at K. Rool when his guard is down, which wasn't really a problem at all. The next phase is Diddy Kong's. Oh gosh, okay, boomerang gloves. Pretty sure this is not legal in boxing. Dude, I hate these barrels, I can't get in them. Ow. And my aim sucks. I can't tell how high I'm supposed to be for these. What the heck? I can't hit anything in this game. I got the barrel back. Why is this so hard? But I won! Man, I just want to hit the target. I just want to hit the target, come on. I know I'm safe at abusing this, but this is still a very terrible fight. Jeez. My god. I can't aim with the jetpack, man. Lanky Kong has to grab barrels from outside of the ring to hit switches, and sometimes he just misses the barrel entirely, which will absolutely ruin your timing. For Tiny Kong, you have to go into King K. Rool's shoes and attack his toes, which attack back in a pattern that took me a little while to really get the timing down. Finally, for Chunky Kong, you just simply have to dodge an invisible K. Rool to then grow to his size and punch him. And this is how the whole thing ends. Huh? Hey. Okay. Not how I thought this fight was gonna go. Okay, Funky Kong too. Funky Kong works. got a boot launcher. What ending is this? There are various other minor characters sprinkled around the game too, like a mermaid, this llama you have to rescue, and this bug-eyed rabbit who I really don't like looking at. It's honestly a pretty impressive cast of characters, though relying on collectibles to expand a Kong's moveset isn't really handled well here, when coupled with the frequent backtracking, and King Cutout can go burn in a fire. So I'll give the characters a 12 out of 20. I was initially thinking as I was plotting out this script that the music wasn't really all that great, but after going back and listening to it all again on its own, it's actually pretty decent. It's not the best sounding music on the Nintendo 64, sure, but most of it is memorable. The DK rap is easily the most iconic piece here, for better or worse, but the rest of the soundtrack has some great themes that really fit with the environments. The song used for DK Isle quickly became a personal favorite. Not every track is great, though. I don't personally like Jungle Japes' theme, and the song used for Troffenscoff's room is just very weird, which I guess was the point, but I didn't really want to keep coming back to this room. The vibes were all off. Despite some odd decisions, the music overall is great. But what's even better than the music are the many voices in the game. From Donkey Kong's "Yeah" when he pulls out his coconut gun, to the "Splat" when you defeat a K-Splat, to the glorious "Oh, banana." My personal favorite is the areas with the sniper. You get yelled at with this deep "Get out" before just getting shot at. Get out. 15 out of 20 easily. As far as graphics go, they're okay, I guess. Most areas are vibrantly colored, others are dark and difficult to see in, but it all felt just pretty standard. There are some standouts, but I generally just wasn't all that impressed. Perhaps I was just too focused on trying to get through the stages to really feel like taking in the sights, so nothing really grabbed my attention. And as a colorblind man, trying to find which color bananas go to what Kong was honestly a bit of a struggle. I couldn't tell the green bananas from the yellow or the blues from the purples until I was right on top of them. Yeah, the ones you can't collect are faded out, but that doesn't really matter in areas where I can't really see very well to begin with, or if I'm viewing them from a distance. I just see banana, go collect banana, find I can't collect banana, get sad. I really like the cutscenes in this game though. They're nonsensical, kind of cringy, which is kind of the theme for the whole game, but they're a funny kind of dumb. King K. Rool has this view screen that plays some comical event every time you enter a new world, but it's done in a way that makes it look like the Kong is just in this small room for no reason at all, and they just start monkeying around. It's weird, it's fun, 10 out of 20. That's 7 points for gameplay, 5 points for story, 12 points for characters, 15 points for sound, and 10 points for graphics, coming out to a total of 49 out of 100 points. Donkey Kong 64 is not great. It mainly suffers from a lack of navigation in large worlds, frequent backtracking, and a heavy reliance on collectibles. It's supposed to encourage exploration, but there were so many negatives that it was just a very frustrating experience. A randomizer mod for this game does fix some of these issues, such as easier ways to cycle through Kongs. So if you want to play Donkey Kong 64, I recommend either that or bringing a guide with you. While the game was well received when it was first released, Donkey Kong 64 seems to have been largely ignored by Nintendo lately, especially in regards to the non-Donkey and Diddy Kongs. Tiny Kong received a redesign in Diddy Kong Racing DS and has made a few playable appearances since, but Chunky and Lanky Kong haven't been so lucky. Lanky made one playable appearance in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, but otherwise the two have made hardly any appearances at all. Donkey Kong 64 was the only 3D Donkey Kong title for decades until Donkey Kong Bananza earlier this year for the Nintendo Switch 2. A DLC for that game does bring us back to DK Island and even has statues to find of Chunky and Lanky. It doesn't really confirm if Chunky is still alive though. This was definitely a video game.